Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is that you're joining me for this video. Thank you once again for clicking on the Penboy Roy Fountain Pen Review channel. The subject of today's video is the retro 1951 P-51 Mustang fountain pen. The retro 1951 brand was started in the year 1991. Their mission was to make pens that were more than just pens. They wanted their pens to be a tool that served the user for years while being a reminder of their achievements or good memories, all while expressing who they are. At this time, they made pens with designs that were inspired by the ideals of the quote-unquote early American dream. The fountain pens at this time were classic, elegant, and vintage-looking. Their motto was, quote-unquote, "We make them like they used to." Only they were made in China. In the year 1997, Retro 1951 released the first Tornado pen. At this point in time, the Tornado was only available in rollerballs and ballpoints, with fountain pens being left out of the 1998 Retro 1951 catalog. It was a very sad time for us all. The rollerballs and ballpoints could be found on page 13 of an 18-page catalog offered in 3 different colors. Since the release of the Tornado line, they have become very popular due to their design and quality. They sported a knurled finial that has become a trademark look for the brand. By the year 2001, the Tornado rollerballs and ballpoints became so popular, they took over the catalog, going from page 13 in the first catalog to filling an entire catalog. It wasn't until the year 2004 that the people at Retro 1951 finally came to their senses and decided not to be total dweebs by finally launching the first Tornado fountain pen, earning the brand the right to truthfully say, "Life's too short to carry an ugly pen." These better late than never fountain pens were released in 8 different colors, made of acrylics on some models and lacquered metals on others. This year, the year 2019, the line of Tornado fountain pens was revamped with new colors, themes, and designs, including a contoured grip, as well as replacing the previous Schmidt nib with a Jowo No. 6 nib. The pen in question today, the P-51 Mustang, is the only pen in the new Tornado line of fountain pens that are acid etched. It was designed to pay homage to the P-51 Mustang fighter plane. This fighter was one of the most famous fighters of the Second World War, despite not having seen action with the American forces until March of 1943, over a year after our involvement in the war following the bombing of Pearl Harbor. The P-51 Mustang fighter was hailed as one of the fastest piston engine fighters and could fly higher and further than any other fighter during the war. By September 2nd, 1945, the end of World War II, the P-51 Mustang claimed the most Allied kills, with approximately 280 pilots earning the ACES distinction, a designation earned for taking down 5 enemy fighters. That's all I have for the background information. Moving on to the neutral zone, those elements about the pen that are neither good or bad, or can be good or bad, depending on you. Right after this short commercial break.
Do you waste page after page when writing because your handwriting really sucks? Does your boss ream you out at work because he just can't read your sucky handwriting? Do your ideas get tossed aside like garbage because your handwriting sucks? Well, don't give up hope just yet. Thanks to the new Esterbrook SD, you now have all the tools you need to write your thoughts and ideas clearly and neatly. Looking for a raise? There is simply no better way to ask your boss than on paper with a fine fountain pen. By using your new Esterbrook SD, your boss will no doubt entertain and comply with all of your requests and demands with enthusiasm. And voila, all is right in the world. That is until he says, "But I'm gonna need you to shave."
For a limited time, get a free Proraso Shave Travel Kit, a $15 value with the purchase of any Esterbrook SD. Esterbrook, the right pen for the way you write. The nib is a No. 6 size stainless steel Jowo nib. It was left unbranded to prevent further delay of the release of the new Tornado fountain pens. The feed is your standard underbelly of a cockroach-looking plastic Jowo feed. The nib and feed are part of an unscrewable nib unit. The grip is a newly designed, contoured metal grip with a slight flare at the end. The grip threads are made of metal and are part of the grip. These screw into the barrel threads that are also metal. There are also metal threads on the outside of the barrel, and they are not sharp, and if touched, do not distract from writing. The rest of the barrel is acid etched and printed to look like a P-51 Mustang fighter plane with its metal panels and rivets. The body tapers slightly to a flat end finial that doesn't have any branding. The cap has the same acid etching and printing as the rest of the pen. The finial has a checkered blue and yellow pattern often seen on the tail and nose of an actual P-51 Mustang. The side of the finial has knurled sides. This is the trademark look of a tornado pen, with it sitting in a chimney that reads Tornado by Retro 51. This knurled portion is more than half the size of a rollerball or ballpoint counterpart. This is because the full size didn't look quite right on a fountain pen. The clip is tension fixed inside a cutout in the cap. This clip is also another element about a tornado pen that makes it look like a tornado pen. The clip is tight and has a slight turn up at the end, making clipping easy into a pocket. The inner threads of the cap is a soft plastic threaded sleeve. The pen is packaged in a very unique way. It comes inside of a tubed themed container. This one is the P-51 Mustang, obviously, as that is the theme of the pen. You slide off the top and you reveal your pen sitting inside the lower half of the container in a foam cutout, which serves as a single pen stand. The pen also comes packaged with a single ink cartridge, as well as a small booklet with information on it tucked inside the top half of the container. The included ink converter is pre-installed in the pen. That's all I have for the neutral zone. Moving on to the good, those elements about the pen that are good. The way this pen writes is as one would expect any Jowo No. 6 nib to write. It is everything we know and love about Jowo nibs. It's smooth, it's not too wet and not too dry. It's ever so slight in terms of feedback. Slight enough that lovers of greasy smooth nibs will be satisfied. At the same time, it doesn't feel like you're writing on an iPad. As with most Jowo steel nibs, it doesn't offer much in the way of line variation. Balance unposted is very comfortable. The length unposted feels natural, and even if on the lighter side, doesn't feel lacking in any way. When posted, it's equally comfortable. The added weight of the cap makes the feel of writing more weighted, but at the same time not back weighted. The cap posts a little over an inch in and is snug and secure with no wiggle. It also posts without causing any scratches to the body. That's always a plus to me. Let's discuss the build. Overall, I'd say this pen is on the lighter side. Despite that, in the hand, it feels like a dense pen. Nothing on or about it has any wiggle room, as the tolerances of every part are tight. Every part of the pen that has threads does so with a secure, snug stop that gives me a calming sense of security. Nothing creaks or gives when capped, and the clip is fixed securely in place. It doesn't wiggle or jiggle in the least bit. The pen as a whole is solid and very well made. When it comes to the aesthetics, I love the riveted metal paneled look. I'm not even into planes, but the first time I saw this pen at the National Stationery Show earlier this year, my immediate reaction was, I gotta have one. However, at the time, it was a pre-release, and despite my resorting to rearranging the pen stands and display items at the Retro 51 table into inappropriate human anatomy shapes, my effort to annoy the retro reps to the point of just letting me have one failed, and I had to wait. So, once I finally got one, I was satisfied. Lastly, I really appreciate the design choice of shortening the knurled portion of the finial versus keeping it the same as the ballpoint counterpart. While I love the look of the fully knurled finial on the ballpoint, it's still a ballpoint. And to me, a lot like looking at a nice pair of boobies on a giraffe. It just doesn't do it for me. But on the fountain pen, the look is unmistakably identifiable as a Retro 1951 pen despite the shortened length of the knurled finial, yet at the same time balanced without looking goofy. That's all I have for the good. Moving on to the bad, let's talk coin. The new Tornado line of fountain pens vary in price, with the Aquamarine, Orchid, and Ultraviolet costing $52. The price moves up to $53.60 for the Lincoln Copper design and the Stealth Black design. For the P-51 Mustang design, the price goes up to $63.20 due to the acid etching and printing involved. So for the cost of $53 to $63, depending on the design you want, this is, to my knowledge, the least expensive pen sporting a Jowo No. 6 nib out of the box, or in this case, a tube, coupled with the unique packaging and presentation. Even at the highest price of $63, you're really getting a good bang for your buck. So in regard to the bad, nothing here to see. That's all I have for the bad. Moving on to the ugly, those elements about the pen that should not be, but are. As good as this pen is, it's not perfect. There is one element that is ugly that really triggers my LCD lizard brain, and it's almost a catch-22. It's in the cap thread assembly being plastic. Now, in the good, I spoke about how the posting doesn't cause any scratching to the barrel. This is because the threads in the cap are plastic. My gripe is that the plastic is too soft and cheap, and as a result, I've noticed that the alignment of the cap and the barrel goes out of alignment over time, with the rotations to cap and uncap the pen going from 2 1/4 rotations to 2 1/2 rotations. I've had this pen for several months, and the riveted panels on the cap and barrel lined up when I first got the pen, and as of now, rotate further past where they started and no longer line up. This is more than likely not a concern for any of the other designs, but on the Mustang, with its lines and patterns, it's noticeable. I really wish the cap threads were a higher quality plastic. Then they could withstand the metal barrel threads extending the cap threading. Then the alignment would stay in place, and at the same time, being plastic won't scratch the barrel when posting. Now, I still love this pen, but this happening feels a lot like finding out that your new puppy is deaf. You still love your new puppy, but it just breaks your heart that he's deaf. That's all I have for the ugly. It's high noon. Decision-making time. Should you or should you not pull the trigger on the retro 1951 P-51 Mustang fountain pen? Now, in spite of my one complaint in the ugly, I have to say that the positives of this pen greatly outweigh the one negative, by a huge margin. I certainly love this pen, and it has become one of my favorite everyday writers, and I am certainly glad that I bought one, and I believe that it's a pen that should not be missed. But if you ask me if I would buy a second P-51 Mustang in particular, I may answer no. While I do love mine, I don't want to go through another heartbreaking experience of seeing the lined up patterns slowly go out of alignment over time. But I really do love the pen, and it's here to stay. Now, if I lost mine or someone were to be suicidal enough to steal mine, then yes, absolutely. Upon my release from prison for slaughtering the stupid thief, I would definitely and absolutely buy a new one to replace the lost or stolen one. All this to say, pull the trigger on this pen. Just be prepared for the possibility of the alignment of the cap and barrel going out and possibly having your heart ache if you're an anal retentive OCD freak like myself. But in the end, you got yourself an awesome pen, and again, possibly the cheapest option for a pen that sports a number 6 Jowo nib out of the box. No matter what, you will love it, just like you love your new deaf puppy. That was my review of the retro 1951 P-51 Mustang fountain pen. I hope you found it helpful. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys. Be well, be safe.